before we start, we have 2 janazas today, so if you can please move forward because we are expecting more people. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. We just need to fill that place. We'll provide place for those who will come late. الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين فاللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جزيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته اللهم أحينا على سنته وتوفنا على ملته وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا ثم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, we'll have 2 janazas today, so perhaps it is appropriate to talk about death and think about death, reflect upon death as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us repeatedly in our Quran al-Kareem, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ, every single soul shall taste death. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us and advised us to think about death, to visit the graves, to think about our life and our death. Sometimes people don't like to think or talk about death for a number of reasons. One is, as Imam Al-Ghazali said, because we love ourselves so much. We love ourselves more than anyone else. Even when we do good to someone else, when we spend money and help others, we're doing this actually expecting something in return. Sense of happiness that we help some people, this pleasure, or because we're expecting a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if when you are doing good to others, we are doing good actually to ourselves. And also, it seems that we also don't like, or most of people don't like to think so much about death because they are afraid of looking at their intentions and their acts. They don't like to scrutinize what they're doing and how they're living their life, to question their intention, to re-evaluate themselves. That's why people always like those who lie to them, telling them you are perfect, you are great, you are handsome, you are smart, and so on and so forth, which is related to the first point, that because we love ourselves so much. It's part of that divine nature that we have, as Imam Al-Ghazali and others said, that we sometimes think of ourselves as perfect, as beautiful and handsome and smart, and we can do anything. على كل شيء قدير, in other words. That's why death for us is something, for most of the people, they don't like to think about it, because it reminds them of their weakness, of the limitation of their ability. But for the good people, the wise people, the truthful people, they have no problem thinking and talking about death and preparing for death as a reality, because they are truthful to themselves. They are okay with admitting that we made so many mistakes and it's time now to correct it. We need to revisit our intentions and to ensure that our intentions are pure and clean. Those people who have this self-evaluation and nafs al-lawwama, they are not afraid of death. They are not afraid of death. As Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu ardahu wa karramallahu wajhahu said that when a good person dies, it's good for him. And when a bad person dies, it's good for the people. When a good person dies, it's good for him because he received this sense of freedom. It's good for him because what's after death is better than what's before death. But for the bad person, when he dies, people feel comfortable. And that's why when we look at death, we don't look at it as non-existence. It is a beginning of a new chapter, a new life. In fact, it's a freedom. Freedom of the spirit from the multiple prisons that it lives in. The first prison is the body itself. Second prison is the environment, time and place, and so many rules and regulations and evil and good and so on. And as many philosophers, some of our scholars said that there are functions of the spirits alone and functions of the spirit and the body. So when we walk, the spirit can only walk through our legs. When we see, the spirit see through the eyes. And when we hear, the spirit hears and understands through our ears and then through our hearts and minds. But when the separation between the spirit and the body happens, the function of the body goes away and the function of the spirit is still there. Remains with the spirit. And this is mainly when it comes to happiness and sadness. So people after death will experience the spirit, which does not die, in fact, then will experience and feel happiness or sadness. This is perhaps the meaning of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Unquestionably, for the allies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. This is the function of the spirit. The spirit will feel happiness or sadness. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever should hope for the meeting with Allah, مَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّ أَجَلَ اللَّهِ لَآتٍ. Indeed, the term decreed by Allah is coming. The question is, do we hope for the meeting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or are still scared? Aisha radiallahu anha, when she heard this ayah, she said, Ya Rasulullah, we all fear death. And he said, Ya Aisha, at the time of death, when the believers see the good news, see their place in Jannah, they would love to go and meet with Allah, and Allah would love to meet with them. And when the disbelievers and hypocrites and evil people see what's awaiting for them after death, they will hate to meet with Allah, and Allah will hate to meet with them. مَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّ أَجَلَ اللَّهِ لَآتٍ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. Those who hope for the meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this term is decreed by Allah, is coming. And we should always prepare for it. Of course, we don't like death. We should be truthful to ourselves. But as Imam Ghazali and others said, that the believers want death to be delayed, not because they are afraid of death, not because they don't like to meet with Allah, but they like to have more time to do good deeds, to repent, to better prepare themselves to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he gave the example of someone who was got the news that the most beloved one is coming to visit him. And he would wish that his visit will be delayed for 2 or 3 days so that he can make better preparation to welcome this dear guest. It's not because he hates him, but that he wants to have the best welcome to him. So death is like a guest who is coming to us. So for us as believers, our attitude should be that we should actually be prepared for death. Should not be scared of it, because the final return is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah said that I won't be happy if they told me that the decision, your hisab, is going to be in the hand of your parents. If someone told you the decision will be made by your parents, hell and heaven, or heaven, so your parents will decide. Of course, that's very good news. Oh, my parents will never put me in the hellfire. He said that because I know Allah has more mercy for me than my parents, so I'm happy that it's Allah who will take care of my hisab. This is one of the attitudes of some believers. Ma'ruf al-Karhi was a very well-known righteous scholar who dedicated his entire life to ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was not interested in the pleasure of this dunya. He was one of the people who practiced abstinence or zuhd in this life. One of his friends asked him, why is that? What drives you to make all this ibadah and prayer and fasting? Is it death? He said, what's death? It's nothing. He said, is it the fear of the grave? He said, what are we talking about? He said, is it the fear of al-hisab or fear of hell and hope for heaven? He said, no. That's not what drove me to pray so much to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to worship Him. But because the king who has all these things in his hand is worthy to be worshipped. Death, grave, hisab, hell and heaven, it's in Allah's hand. So just worship Him and don't worry about all these things. He will take care of you. If you are sincere in ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should not be concerned so much about death and the grave and all these horror stories we hear about death and the grave and darkness and snakes. Just worship Allah sincerely. And the one who takes care of you in this dunya will take care of you in the akhirah. At least in dunya we have many friends, family members. When we have troubles, we resort to them, seeking help. But when we die, we have nobody except Him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala will deal with Him alone. Deal with Him alone. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells people, reminds us of this question that we were talking about last night. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Then did you think that we created you uselessly and that to us would not be returned? Do you think that you just have been created just out of nothing for no purpose and you are not coming back to us? إِلَيْهِ الْمَصِيرِ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. Our final return is back to Him. He is the beginning, He is the end. He made us exist, and our final return is going to be back to Him. We cannot escape from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot run away from Him. يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. You want to escape time and place? Do your best. Try to escape time and place, which is one of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us about the story of this man who did everything wrong. He had no hope. He lost all hope in Allah's mercy. And he thought the only way to escape from Allah is that he advised or told his children, when I die, burn my body and throw my ashes in a windy day, so that by this he was hoping that Allah will not bring him back. He doesn't have to go through the hisab, because he knows the hisab, he will be in trouble. He knew that. His kids did exactly what he said. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elected him. And He made him stood before him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, why did you do that? He said, Ya Allah, because I was afraid of you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with our way of looking at things, if someone thinks that Allah will not be able to bring him back, in of itself is an act of kufr, right? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him that I know that you have this fear of me, and this fear of me alone will help you today. I forgive all your sins. Because of that. Because of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recognizing or admitting our mistakes. Believing that we will stand before Him for our hisab. So brothers and sisters, that we know for sure, we are strong believers that there is life after death. When we die, we go somewhere else, and our spirit will feel happiness or sadness. So we better be prepared for this day. And as for those who depart from this world, of course we feel sad, absolutely. It's part of human nature. Rasulullah was crying when his young son Ibrahim alayhi salam passed away. And that's part of human nature. When he, his eyes was tearing, and people told him, what is this, Ya Rasulullah? He said, this is rahmah. It's rahmah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed in the heart of people. And this is, if you look at what Rasulullah says, how did he naturally behave? He cried, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, out of sorrow, sadness. But he said at the same time, لا نقول إلا ما يرضي ربنا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Time of death is time of very high emotions and very, very little rational thinking. But here you can see this amazing balance. The best teacher of all teachers, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who practiced what he preached. He was sad, sadness was there, obviously, but rationality also was there. This high emotion does not overwhelm the understanding, the belief. Said yes, our heart is full of sadness, our eyes tears, but we say nothing but what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Move forward. Sadness is there, rationality is there, perfect balance. This is exactly what we need to have. I know it's easy to say, but it is also important to remind each other that death should not come as a surprise. This is part of Allah's plan. It's part of Allah's plan. We all will depart from this world. When, and where, and how, we don't know. Only Allah knows, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We just need to be better prepared and to think of life after. I just want to end with this beautiful hadith in Muwatta Malik and in Sahih al-Imam Bukhari, and Aisha radiallahu anha said that I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying that no prophet dies until he is giving the choice. The angel of death would come to him and said, now I've been sent to take your soul. What do you think? Every prophet is giving this choice. So, and she said, when death came to the Prophet ﷺ, last moments of his life, ﷺ, she said his head was on my thigh. And he was looking up to the ceiling of the house. I heard him saying, "Oh Allah, with the highest companions. Oh Allah, with the highest companions. مع الرفيق الأعلى. مع الرفيق الأعلى." And Aisha right away, she said, hence I said to myself, he is not going to choose us. She remembered what he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every prophet at the time of this is giving the choice. And when she heard him saying, Ya Allah, with Ar-Rafiq al-A'la, she knew that he has been giving the choice. Stay longer. Enjoy more years. Or to go up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the company of the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he made a choice, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, Bali Ar-Rafiq al-A'la. Ar-Rafiq al-A'la, Ya Allah, I want to go. I'm ready to go, I want to go. Virtuous people are not afraid of death. They know it's coming. We may not like it, but if you think about the comfort and the blessing that comes after, then we should not be scared of death. Rather, we should be concerned about, are we ready or not? قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفروه. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله اتقوا الله وأطيعوه إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Before we end, we have, as I said, 2 janazas. So right after Salah, we'll have 2 janazas here. We'll have 1 janaza prayer for 2 deceased. So for those of you who can make it, please wait and take part of this. It's a great reward to do the funeral prayer. And because of that, I'll just make very quick announcements, which we will not be able to make after Salah. Inshallah, tonight we'll have the second part of the care presentation for our high school students, Hearts and Minds program. Sister Aisha Noor is going to talk to our youth today about how to deal with harsh circumstances when some people are confrontational and say something that provokes you. What is the appropriate way to respond to these things? Last week, Imam Walid actually came and he gave them a presentation, how to make presentation about Islam and Muslim, how to tackle difficult questions. And tonight, Sister Aisha, which is very highly qualified, is going to come tonight to talk to our high school students about this important subject. Also, tonight we'll have IAGD having their number of events in the month of March. They have a fundraising dinner March 23rd, and they have IAGD workshop on March 9th, and they have a game night tonight, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many activities going on, alhamdulillah, for our youth, and we need to really do more. So if you have a high school child, so please enroll them in this wonderful program. Also, for the brothers and sisters asking about Hajj, inshallah, I'm going for Hajj this year, leading a group. So if you want to join us, please see me after prayer, and inshallah I'll be in the lobby to answer your questions regarding this Hajj trip this year. Inshallah, which will be in the beginning of the month of August, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So inshallah you can talk to me after Salah, and you have also brothers in Adam travel outside after Salah, inshallah, so we can talk to them. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نسألك رزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا. اللهم اجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث فأصلح لنا شأننا كله. اللهم لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا إلى أحد من الناس يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء من كل داء، ونسألك الغنى عن الناس يا رب العالمين. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها، أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم اغفر وارحم واعف وتكرم وتجاوز عما تعلم، انك انت الله العز الاكرم. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين. اقم الصلاه.